for round one here. And, oh, look at that. Maybe I'm just a little psychic.
What a coincidence, Jeremy.
Jesper Eriken, former world champion, playing Comfey Giratina V-Star up against Victor Salgado, playing Golden Go EX. And it is going to be a pretty crazy one.
Indeed, we were talking about Amy's Scissor choice, and we're going to feature Scissor in the first round. And then Jesper going with a deck that he has been doing really well at locals with. He's been madly in love with Giratina V-Star, and he decided to stick with it with a few very interesting cards in his list. New inclusions like Counter Catcher, and then also runs a Tropius.
Yeah, Tropius is definitely something that we've kind of seen in the past to battle against the grass weakness of Charizard EX, but it is one of those tech cards that's very linear in its matchups. It's Roaring Moon, Charizard. That's pretty much it.
I mean, it used to be as well for Tyranitar RB in Single Strike Lugia, however, we definitely haven't seen that in a while. But we're going to get started, we're going to see the prize cards, and nothing super impactful for either player, like not a single of. The Cold Risk could be annoying, but it is at the bottom of the deck. And then I feel like the most key card for Victor is probably the Energy. What do you think?
Energy, and then the Superior Energy Retrieval. Golden Go EX's attack is make it rain. You discard any number of energy from your hand to deal 50 times for each one. You really need to kind of stock up those energies to take those big one-hit knockouts against something like a Giratina V-Star. But against stuff like Comfey and Sableye, you don't need as many.
True. Yeah, that's true. And depending on what he needs to KO, perhaps because the Superior Energy Retrieval is in the middle, right, he might be able to utilize the other three to get to that point quite easily. So it might depend as well on how much disruption Jesper is able to bring to the table, because Goldengo wants to accumulate those resources in their hand, wants to draw a bunch of cards and be able to discard the energies from hand, and that could get a little complicated if he continually gets Roxanne or Iono.
And then one card that we haven't really talked about from Paradox Rift that I think is probably the best card in the set, and I think you might agree with me, Earthen Vessel.
I agree. Yeah, Earthen Vessel is a very powerful card. Helps you thin, helps you get rid of dead cards in your hand. It really is fantastic. As we get that's what you know. Earthen Vessel immediately getting played.
Yeah, Earthen Vessel. Discard a card from your hand, search your deck for 2 basic energy cards, put them in your hand. We have had cards like this in the past: Professor's Letter, Letter of Encouragement, Capacious Bucket. This one I think is probably on the same level, if not a little bit better than Professor's Letter. Professor's Letter, you can just play it, get 2 energy, but a lot of the times, and especially in this format, discarding that card is beneficial.
For sure, there will be very few instances where you don't want to discard something, but the benefits of discarding those Battle VIP passes when you're not using them anymore, making sure you thin your hand to make yourself less Iono-proof. And wow, we see a touch pass from Victor. So now Jesper could get a first turn KO through Cramorant if he's able to pull that off.
Well, here is the first deck search, so we'll see if Jesper is able to cobble together a good turn here. Nest Ball, able to search your deck for a basic Pokemon, put it directly onto your bench. But right now, we're seeing the counts. You want to know what is in your prize cards, especially with a deck like this Lost Zone Giratina. There is a lot of moving parts, and especially like you were saying, a lot of kind of one-of techs. There's only like one boss's orders, stuff like that. So a lot of things you need to keep count of. Only one Cramorant, so with that being in the deck is very good here. Now Jesper is trying to get a couple Comfey in play and maybe find a Colress's Experiment, and 4 cards in the Lost Zone with that Cramorant in the active spot. We're moving on to a game 2.
Yeah, Jesper actually is already holding the Colress's Experiment in his hand, so probably, and 2 other, well, 1 other Nest Ball apart from the one he's playing right now. So he's being very thorough in case the Colress doesn't give him the cards he needs. But if he finds a few switching cards, Jet Energy, things like that, we might be seeing a very quick game one right here. There's a third nest ball. That's a brilliant start for Jesper.
Yeah, who needs Battle VIP Pass? We just can play 3 nest ball on turn 1.
Indeed. I feel like the odds of finding 3 nest ball plus the colors in your starting hand might be around the same of finding a shiny Pokemon. Like it's so rare. I feel like Giratina tends to like have those just very awkward starts because you have such good cards, but usually they're good like in the middle of the later stages of the game. You can get like that Sableye, Mirage Gate, Roxanne starting hand, and you're like, why am I playing this? However, when you get these sort of very powerful hands, you're in for a good time.
I think the one thing Jesper is missing here is some switch cards to get those Comfeys in the active spot. This Colress is going to have to find those exactly. I see Jet Energy, switch card. I think that does it.
There are exactly, there's 2 switch cards, a Jet Energy. That'll be 2 cards in the Lost Zone.
Oh no, he saw 6.
Oh,
well, I don't think it's going to matter. So this
So-
usually leads to a double prize penalty. If you see an extra card when you're not able to, that's the basic rule, especially for an event of this caliber in an international championship. The thing is, though, how the cards were drawn off the top.
Yeah.
If it's either that Jet Energy or the switch card.
Well, there's 2 other Jet Energies and 2 switch cards
there is.
inside the
Okay.
5 cards. So in reality, whichever was the 6th card won't matter. Jesper will probably get a 2 prize penalty, but he'll still be able to just get the game. You can see him shaking a little bit. So I'm pretty sure that 6th card was out of excitement, out of, wow, I actually pulled this off. And I'm about to be up one game with my first turn.
Yeah. Doesn't even look at the flower selecting here. Just puts it in the Lost Zone. There's the 4th card, switch card, Cramorant taking the knockout. And just like that, less than 5 minutes into our round 1 of Swiss here, Jesper going up 1-0 up against Victor. Thanks to Victor just starting that Gimmighoul and passing.
Indeed, I don't think there's a better feeling than like you're up in a high pressure setting. You're starting off the day. You've traveled so much to get here. Yeah, Jesper is from Denmark, and then you start off with a win on turn 1. Yeah, you're feeling like luck is on your side. You're feeling like you're gonna have a good run. Yeah, really interesting how Goldengo is a powerful card, but Gimmighoul is not a powerful card. Gimmighoul is a very frail Pokemon, and this can happen.
And this is also kind of the tale of the big bad of the previous format compared to the new spice that might take over.
Yep.
But Lost Zone Giratina, it's been around for a while for a reason, and it's just consistent.
It is consistent, and here's where I was gonna play the counter card to your best card in Paradox Rift. I feel like Counter Catcher could also be deemed the best card in this search. Earthen Vessel is absolutely fantastic. However, Counter Catcher I feel like could have more game-breaking, like game-winning effect. You know, like I feel like a lot more games are going to be won by finding that Counter Catcher at the right time. Because Earthen Vessel is a card you probably want to find early to send your deck to get that stable setup. But Counter Catcher at the right time can be as powerful as Boss Sorters. And how many times do we see Boss for game?
Every time.
Every time, right? So then I'm pretty sure now it's going to be 50-50 between Boss for game or Counter Catcher for game.
Listen, it's a reprint, so I wasn't really including it with the new cards.
Oh, that's fair.
You know.
That's fair.
No. It is an amazing card. It's going to be great to have it back in the format. It put in a ton of work when it was first released, and hopefully we'll be able to see some good use of it here. Looking at the prize cards, though, for Jesper, double Escape Rope, Super Rod, and then 2 Jet Energy and a Psychic. Meanwhile, for Victor, nothing too bad there. A couple energies.
Nothing too bad. And funnily enough, a Colress experiment in Victor's prizes now. This time around, Victor did choose to go second. This will allow him to play a supporter, to have hopefully a more stable setup. And I feel like Paradox Rift will definitely be a turning point for who goes first and who goes second. That choice that is so crucial. I do think that now there's more merit to go second, because if you're up against Roaring Moon, if you're up against a deck like Lost Box, if you're up against a deck like Raiden that can immediately get a turn 1 attack of, because that's how their deck is built, it's more likely that you survive that if you get to play a supporter, get to use Muse's ability along with a supporter. Playing that supporter, I think, is now so key, so that hopefully you have a higher chance at finding Battle VIP Pass.
And then here is the difference of setups for Jesper. Instead of 3 Nest Ball, we just have double Battle VIP Pass. This is able to search your deck for 2 basic Pokemon, put them on your bench, but only during the first turn. So seeing 2 of them, I think that's a shiny legendary.
That's exactly that's exactly what I was going to mention. Sometimes finding 1 Battle VIP Pass or starting Battle VIP Pass feels harder than finding a shiny Pokemon. Starting with 2 in your starting hand, that's just unheard of. You know, like there's just no way that happens.
So with Cramorant in the active spot, Jesper goes ahead and gets 2 Comfey, that Radiant Greninja, and a Giratina V. Now Victor did start Mew, which is a card to help dig further with that Mysterious Tail ability, trying to find his own Battle VIP Pass if necessary. But we're going to start things off with the concealed cards. Discard an energy to draw 2 cards, and Jet Energy, which honestly is one of my favorite cards in this deck. It provides so much utility and equals 2 flower selectings most of the time.
Indeed, Jet Energy, such a powerful effect. The switch plus the energy to be able to retreat, as we just saw, such a great effect to have. And then Jesper's hand looking really powerful for next turn. So as long as there's no Iono, Jesper is going to have a very explosive turn 2, whilst we see Victor now.
And here is that Mysterious Tail from you. Looking at the top 6, I do believe there's a Battle VIP Pass there. So Victor, not going to just last 1 turn in this game 2 here. Hopefully having a little bit more of a game against Jesper in this Giratina V-Star deck.
Indeed, hopefully a more stable setup for him. I really like an aspect of Goldengo EX is that you don't become a 2-price deck until you choose to, right? Until you decide to evolve. And now, something interesting about Victor's deck is that he's running a copy of a Grass Energy, and he's running a copy of a Water Energy, which it won't allow him to attack with Radiant Greninja. It's not like Scyther is an actual threat or anything, but it will keep your opponent second-guessing themselves in terms of, well, what are they planning? Can they actually attack me with Greninja? And could force some Manaphy benching, which is less than ideal for some decks, right? Because it is a bench space occupied. So I really like that variation. The fact that you won't have a Metal Energy sometimes to compensate for that, like, mind games, I love that.
Yeah, we actually saw that in NAIC and Worlds last year with Giratina V-Star. A lot of people were opting not to play the Water Energy at all, or playing 1 just to try to get that edge on your opponent, those mind games. Well, here we have Victor using Cloris's experiment, finds double Goldengo EX.
With 2 others already in his hands, so he's holding all 4 Goldengo EX. So we're pretty much guaranteed to see Goldengo EX make an appearance at this time now. Goldengo EX's ability, very powerful, that bonus coin to draw extra cards, but Jesper is playing 3 Path to a Peak, so the Stadium War is going to be interesting, and Victor did play the first Stadium and is only running 2, I believe, 2 Artisans, so if that bonus coin ability gets shut down, that could lead to a difficult late game for Victor.
Especially when Jesper is trying to play that Roxanne Path game that we've seen time and time again out of the Giratina V-Star. But with the Artisan, fetches the Scyther, which Scizor, I think, is the best attacker against a deck like Lost Zone. Every Pokemon is pretty much going to have an ability, and it's hard for Jesper to kind of play around it.
Indeed, it's hard to take down. It doesn't go down to Cramorant in 1 hit, so if you're making that single price Pokemon take 1 or 2 prizes, you're getting a really good trade. But Jesper's hand looking really powerful here, as we see the Colress get him to 4 cards in the Lost Zone now, I believe, and allowing that Cramorant to take the first prize card of this game too.
And with that Cloris's experiment, I believe, opted to keep the Tropius.
Yeah, interesting decision there. I mean, at this point, Jesper has very little information on Victor's deck, so you never know what you might encounter, right? You never know what might be paired with Goldango EX, so keeping your options open could be good.
Can we
But
do the lost zone
so
counter, or
far,
is it still not working either?
playing it safe. Yeah, when you don't know exactly what you're up against, keeping all your options open is definitely the way to go.
Well, after that flower selecting, here comes another one. Thanks to that switch cart.
I think this will put us at 6 cards in the lost zone now after the initial 2 flower selects and now the Colress plus 2 more. So we could see Jesper play down another Comfey and get to 7 and start activating that Mirage Gate. Probably not necessary, probably a little overdoing it if that were the case, but he's eyeing up that Comfey. I feel like what I'd love to see in that bench spot that is now occupied would be a second Giratina, because a boss KO in Giratina with Goldango could actually be not so great for Jesper, and then how do you deal with the Goldango EX at that point?
The other thing to note too is with that Comfey in play, that is now 5 abilities in play, but with the Giratina V-Star, a little extra HP, that means you're not going to be able to get taken down by that Scizor. And there's that retreat off the Jet Energy. Kramer in the active spot. Path to the Peak, the big stadium card. Shuts off all rule box Pokemon abilities. And there's that Spit Innocently for the knockout.
Indeed, then we're going to see the Scyther get promoted. It does have free retreat, so it's a very nice pivot to have. Yes, we're going to go ahead and read Goldango EX. I'm sure he's already played against it and tried it, but just double checking, making sure he never hurts. And I'm actually noticing now that there are 4 stadiums in Victor's deck. He does have 2 Pokestops and 2 Artisans.
Oh,
so
okay.
the Stadium War will be very, very key in order to determine how fluent Victor's deck is.
Well, speaking of Pokestop, we found one off this Colress's experiment here.
Also the water energy. So if the water energy is the one that hits the lost zone, I think that'll leave Jesper thinking like, what am I playing against? However, it is the Pokestop.
Wow.
So this path to the peak could cause a lot of problems for Victor. He's now down 2 out of the 4 stadiums.
Has a Pokestop in hand already. But there we see that metal energy attached to the Scizor. Will be able to take the knockout on anything other than that Giratina V-Star. Gimmighoul is going to round out the bench there, and we're going to see a couple cards drawn now that that Path to the Peak is not in play.
Indeed, that is 3 stadiums now having played for Victor, and now Scizor is extremely powerful in this match because it has 140 HP. Therefore, it's out of range of Cramorant and out of range of Sableye attacks, which means the only way Jesper has to deal with that Scizor is through Giratina V-Star, and lost zoning 2 energies or using your V-Star to take only 1 prize card never feels great.
Not at all. You really want to save it for those Goldango EX and just kind of have your prize map planned out for the future. But there is that concealed cards, gets rid of that water energy, so now Jesper's got to be a little bit worried.
Jesper must be more confused than a Psyduck at this point. Like, what is my opponent playing? Why are they playing water energy? Is it just for Greninja? Is it to attack with Manaphy? Probably not.
No.
Are they running a Palkia line of sorts because it covers Goldango's weakness? What is that water energy doing there?
It's the Manaphy.
It's the Manaphy.
Yeah.
Yep, that 20 damage can be pretty crucial against Gardevoir.
It can,
so,
yeah.
There you go. Now we're going to see Jesper bench that Sableye. Sableye can definitely target down this whilst Jesper finds a better way to deal with the Scizor, but yeah, this is going to be tough.
Well, with that 7 in the lost zone, Mirage Gate is now able to be played. Search your deck for 2 energy that are different types and attach them to your Pokemon any way you like. Looks like with the way Jesper's planned out these energies, Sableye is going to be the attacker of choice here.
Jesper is also playing a super fancy deck. Golden, Nest Balls, the play Pokemon prize packs, foil, Mirage Gates, the fancy energies, the 3 different Comfeys. Yeah, going all out with the Blink here. Alternate art, Colress experiment. That'll get us to 9 cards, I believe, in the Lost Zone now.
I believe so, and then still has the flower selecting available in the active spot. And that is the 10th card needed for Jesper to start using that Lost Mine attack. Does get rid of the Manaphy, though, so the Water Energy not too scary right now.
Indeed. Did hesitate, though. Did hesitate a little bit. And I feel like Jesper is playing at a level where he definitely factors in, well, how likely is it that I have to worry about a water shuriken coming in? However, there's no space for Manaphy anyway, so there's not much he can do about it at this point in time. But maybe something to think about for Game 3. Now, we are going to see Sableye probably targeting down the Gimme Goal and putting the rest of the damage onto the Scissor. Could also take down Manaphy to open up a potential Greninja play later down the line, although there aren't many good targets for Greninja anyways. So there's the 7 on the Gimme Goal, and there's 2-to-1 spread. So putting Scissor in range, putting Manaphy in range of a 2-price turn if Victor benches another Gimme Goal, and then putting Greninja in range as well. Very smart damage placement there.
Now it is Victor's turn here. He's going to start things off with a Metal Energy. Has Colress's Experiment in hand, but might as well draw a couple cards with Goldengo.
So Jesper did have a Path to a Peak in his hand. However, he opted not to play it down, which is definitely very surprising. I would have loved to see it played because Victor had, this is the 3rd stadium for Victor. However, he might be saving it for a Roxanne plus Path to the Peak play. So important to balance your resources, right? But I don't know, when you see your opponent 3 stadiums down, that's always a good timing for the Path to a Peak, because on average, how many stadiums are decks playing, Jeremy?
Usually 3-ish,
4,
and it looks
right?
like the 4th one might hit the Lost Zone here. Victor getting rid of the Artizon, and I believe the other Pokestop is in the Lost Zone as well, so no more outs to a Path to the Peak here. One thing to note too, Path to the Peak will limit Scissor's damage output, does get rid of the abilities, so a card like Radiant Greninja won't have its ability anymore.
Indeed. Now, going from 200 to 150, not going to make a big difference right now, but it is something important to consider in case Jesper's bench ends up looking a little smaller down the line. But now it's up to Victor to do something. Just going to take the knockout on the Sableye and holding a really, really big hand.
And no, there's a Roxanne that was found off that Colress's Experiment for Victor, so maybe looking to eye that down next turn.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait a little bit, right? Because, next turn after Victor has taken knockout, pardon me.
Well, no, I'm saying Victor has one in hand.
Oh,
Jesper has one as well.
Oh, that's right. Victor has a Roxanne in hand as well. Which is a little awkward sometimes, as if you Roxanne, all these resources are going back into the deck, and Goldengo has been compared a lot to Qianpao EX in the sense that it does similar damage, it discards energy. However, you cannot leave all your energy on the board and then play a supporter such as Roxanne and then be able to take the knockout. Then if you play the Roxanne, you'll have to draw the right cards of the Roxanne to try to be able to take the knockout, which is sometimes a little awkward. And if you're using Roxanne, unless you combine it with Counter Catcher, you're not using Boss's Orders at that point.
A little awkward here. Mirage Gate only finds 1 energy. And Jesper, unfortunately, Flower Selecting's into that Water Energy that he decided not to grab. Could use it for concealed cards, but the deck's already getting pretty thin as well. So might be opting down a Boss's Orders play this turn to take down a Goldengo EX.
I think that would definitely be the best use of his resources, but then what happens? Victor comes up with a Scissor again and hits that Giratina, forcing a response from Jesper. So there we see the boss, as you mentioned. Will we see the V-Star?
Yeah, well, with attaching to the active for the retreat, not really going to have the resources to attach that 3rd energy to that Giratina V-Star, but you can Star Requiem to just take the knockout. You already have enough in the Lost Zone, and Jesper now down to 2 prize cards left to try and seal up this round 1 victory here.
Now, if Victor is able to Roxanne Jesper into a 2-card hand and is able to knock out this Giratina V-Star after drawing from the Roxanne, that's going to be very impactful because there's no real good attacker for Jesper. He did bench the Tropius last turn, which can rally back in order to do 120 damage, but that's definitely not enough. There's going to be a 3-hit KO at that point.
Ultra Ball here gets rid of a Battle VIP pass and a Nest Ball. Victor opts not to grab that Gimmighoul that's left in the deck. And here we see the Roxanne, such a powerful supporter card in trying to have these players mount a comeback.
The timing of Roxanne, so important. Both
Prize
players
cards
running
updated.
this card, and you cannot play this card until your opponent has taken at least 3 prize cards, but when they do, it's probably more powerful than Iono at that point, because you get 6 and your opponent gets 1 less than the 3 that they would normally get when you're at 3 prize cards. So Roxanne, super powerful card. Now it's up to Victor to draw the right resources in order to be able to one-shot this Giratina, which requires 6 energy, I believe, for Make It Rain.
Well, we got a superior energy retrieval ×2. It's going to have to rely on this coin bonus maybe. Finds another superior energy retrieval, but is there enough basic energy in the discard to take this knockout? I guess you still have Pokestop.
Yeah, based on the fact that he's playing the superior energy retrieval, I would imagine there are. We see 4. However, we still need 2 more. Is there an Earthen Vessel? And if there isn't, it's going to be up to Pokestop to get this KO for Victor.
You still have concealed cards as well, so you can concealed cards, find a couple more cards. Earthen Vessel off the top should be able to do it.
Goldango and 1 energy, so now sitting at 5 energy total, needs 1 more. And that is where Pokestop, has the Pokestop been used?
I don't think it's been used, but we're eyeing down Counter Catcher maybe. This does not look good for Victor here.
It might have been used.
I don't think so, because it was the Roxanne. I feel like you need a Pokestop here. Hidden energy or that Earthen Vessel, and you're able to get it, but no.
200 damage to the active, and now it's up to Jesper to find 1 energy to win this game. You can see how excited he is. Sees the top card. And
oh no, okay. There's a little bit of help. Pokestop here.
Path, energy,
2 energy! No!
The 2 cards Jesper needed, and now if he plays the escape rope, that Goldango will head to the bench.
Has the option to switch cart, but if you switch cart into a Comfey, oh, you can't switch cart, it's the Giratina V-Star.
Yeah.
What am I even saying?
Has to go for the escape rope. So Jesper will not be able to win the game this turn unless this Comfey finds like a Colress into... No, if he Colresses, then he can't boss. So I don't think Jesper can win anymore.
Roxanne able to stymie the setup for Jesper here a little bit. Does find, I believe that's Roxanne.
Yeah, he found his own Roxanne, but still not able to play it as Victor did not take prizes the previous turn.
Here's
that was
the second flower selecting here.
That was an energy and a switch. So deciding.
I think you have to take the energy here. The resources are non-existent right now for Jesper.
Yeah, I mean, he still has the super rods available to put some resources back.
I believe one of them is in the prize cards. Does get rid of the energy.
Chooses to keep the switch. So I'm guessing he's eyeing up a combination of Roxanne plus Mirage Gate plus Super Rod of the Roxanne next turn. But yeah.
Does not even take the knockout on this turn. So Victor breathing a sigh of relief here. Draws the 1 card with coin bonus. Has Colress's Experiment. I'm curious to see what the next 2 cards are.
Victor is holding the Counter Catcher, right? So he has the knockout on that Giratina. And then Jesper will not have anything in board, any threats, anything.
And really no energy to do much with as well.
Yeah, with any of his Pokemon.
Super Odd and I believe Ultra Ball go to the Lost Zone for Victor. Finds a switch, that Earthen Vessel, and a Metal Energy. Counter Catcher brings up that Giratina V-Star. Scizor already has the knockout. So no real need to commit much of anything else. And there it is. Victor going down to 2 prize cards now. But that will unlock the Roxanne from Jesper.
I really think this stadium should have been countered a long time ago. Jesper kept holding to the path to peak, but he was being the aggressor. He never saw that to peak himself. It would have been really good.
Yeah, playing 3 paths to the peak, you really want to just get it down. But I guess he was valuing that concealed cards just a little bit more from Jesper.
You can see the flower select, but what is Jesper even looking for?
I lost Pablo's audio for
Sableye and Super Odd. So difficult choice there, because one Sableye has been KO'd, but if you keep the Super Odd for resources and you're losing the other Sableye, really, really awkward choice for Jesper. And he went from a commanding game-winning position with 1 energy into this very underwhelming, awkward situation. If he keeps the Sableye, he has an attacker, but he doesn't have the energy. If he keeps the Super Rod, he has the resources, but does not have an attacker left. Well,
yeah, you can Super Rod.
I guess he can attack with Tropius then, because he is holding the Mirage Gate. But then how do you take your last prize card?
It'd have to be with another Sableye, right?
Yeah, another Super Rod and another Psychic. You have to find the other Super Rod. You attack this turn, you have the switch, you have the Mirage Gate, you get to attack.
Well, there is the 2 energy on the Tropius there.
There's the switch for the knockout, and this can be combined with a Roxanne. Roxanne did not.
Oh no, it doesn't even take the knockout?
Oh, there's grass resistance on the scissor.
Oh no!
Oh my gosh, metal type Pokemon have grass resistance, so no KO. Both Pokemon are still in range for Sableye, however, so the play remains the same. However, we will have to see if Jesper is able to power through and find those cards. Did put back the Sableye into the deck with the Super Rod. Still needs to find a Psychic Energy, which I'm not sure he'll be able to do. And a way to switch into that Sableye as well.
Yeah, I still can't remember if the Super Rod was up towards the top of the prize cards for Jesper. But if it is, there's only 2 in the list. And we might see a Game 3 here. A very surprising Game 3.
Indeed. We went from a 1-turn Game 1 into and almost went 1 energy away for Jesper. And now Victor is the one that's 1 turn away from beating the former world champion, Jesper Eriken.
Knockout with the Scizor yet again. Jesper promotes the Comfey and starts off with the Roxanne. Is going to draw the entire deck here. No Super Rod available.
No Psychic, no way to switch even. So there we have it. We're going to get into Game 3.
All right, Pablo. I wouldn't have it any other way to start off our round 1 here in Sao Paulo. A Game 3, one of the big bads of the format for a while in Lost Zone Giratina, up against some of the new spice, that Golden Go EX.
Indeed, it feels like we've had Giratina for a very, very long time now in the format, and it's one of the most powerful V-Star Pokemon. However, it's now up against one of the most powerful Pokemon EX, and Goldengo coming out on top in a full game. So we'll have to see if Victor is able to keep that up. Now, as Jesper, do you choose to go first or second? Because going first, you can get some cards in Lost Zone and get closer to threatening with Greninja, threatening with a Giratina. However, if you go second, you can get that dog possibly.
Yeah, I feel like with this, I think you still want to go second, especially after seeing Victor choose to go second in Game 2, just so he can get that setup that you don't want to see that Game 1.
Yeah, the more stable setup for sure. And now we'll have to see here. I'm very surprised. One Goldengo EX was able to carry Victor, but it was the Scissor, right? It was mostly the Scissor. The Scissor is a difficult Pokemon to take down. It's a very powerful threat. It's set up very nicely, some KOs, Jesper could not find a way to deal with it, and I really think Jesper has to emphasize on benching more than one Giratina V this time around. Only having one is very, very difficult to pull through, because you are up against something that can one KO that Giratina V star.
It felt like it was just Jesper struggling to find energies throughout the entire game, or found them early and decided to have to get rid of them through flower selectings, Colress's experiments, and just concealed cards in general. And I think the players are having a conversation here, trying to get things set up.
Something is going on. Something might have been an extra card in Jesper's starting hand, something along those lines. I don't know exactly what's going on, but as soon as we find out, we will definitely let you all know.
And now there still is plenty of time left to finish a game. There was around 18 minutes before this discussion started happening, so judges usually will add that extra time that they take in discussing a ruling and deciding what's going to be happening for the players.
Indeed, and exciting match. Yeah, really back and forth. Scissor pulling through, and Goldango EX. I feel like Goldango EX has one job, which is get the one KO on the big Pokemon, and Scissor can deal with the little dudes. And then Goldango EX couldn't do that. But we did not see the Pokestop get played that turn. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't do the Pokestop. Maybe Victor just forgot about it. There's definitely that possibility. He might have had a good reason.
I did get a glimpse at the two cards that were left over, because he drew the one off the Golden Go, I believe. So it wouldn't have gotten there. The Earthen Vessel was the fourth card down from the Pokestop. So maybe you just had a little future sight,
Yeah,
I mean, that's a Pokemon attack.
Or that is a Pokemon attack. Generally, sometimes you go by intuition. Like some decisions, you don't have perfect information to make, and then you just have to go by. After, sometimes it's very determined by probabilities and the outs that you have left in the deck, and sometimes you just go with intuition and you just go like, all right, I'm just gonna do it this time, see if it works out. And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
Getting a look at the little crowd building up, watching all the stream games going on. It's not just the Pokemon TCG, it's Pokemon video game and Pokemon Go as well. And honestly, just the crowd in Sao Paulo is one of the best crowds I've ever gotten to experience. They love Pokemon.
They love Pokemon, and I mean, LATAM players are known for being louder than the average supporter, and that's definitely telling. Yeah, the crowds in LATAM, as you mentioned, are fantastic, and especially for finals, I'm sure we're gonna have trouble hearing each other, I would imagine.
Oh no, yeah, 100%. I'll at least try to talk a little louder.
Now, I did not expect to see the matchup play out how it has been. I expected a lot more reliability on Goldango EX's ability. I expected Giratina V-Star to feature a lot more, but now we're going to see the turn 1 KO by Jesper.
Well, no, this is Jesper's turn 1 going first in game 2 with double battle VIP pass start.
Oh, that's right. I thought this was the turn 1 KO. This is game 2. Which Victor was able to win after getting a much better start, finding that battle VIP pass, establishing those Goldangos to draw, and establishing the Scissor that started demolishing Jesper's setup. That Scissor was really the MVP of this match, was able to take KO after KO. One Goldango EX went down, and then Jesper was not able to find the game-winning energy to deal with that Goldango EX, take the last two prizes. Victor was able to bring it up again, knock it out, and take a commanding lead. So now we're waiting for game 3 to get on its way as the judges are determining and making this ruling, and we'll have to see what happens, Jeremy.
Yeah, I'm very interested in getting some clarification for y'all at home as well. Looks like they have decided something, so they're explaining it to both players.
Indeed, hopefully we'll be able to relay that to you, the viewer, as well, and figure out exactly what's happening and get this game 3 started between. It feels like Giratina V-Star in its origin form could almost be an ancient Pokemon at this point. And then we have Goldengo EX, the Pokemon number 1000. Not a future Pokemon per se, but one of the new threats from Paradox Rift. I think Goldengo EX, Iron Valiant, Roaring Moon, and Iron Hands are probably the 4 big cards to look out for this weekend, right? We have Earthen Vessel, we have Counter Catcher, we have Professor Sada and Professor Turo in new cards. All of them are fantastic, but these are the 4 Pokemon that you're going to be seeing a lot of over the weekend.
I'm excited. I'm a little tired of Lugia and all that stuff just popping up yet again. One thing I'm interested, who's bringing the Arceus V-Star pile that always seems to just squeak in and do very well, because Arceus V-Star has just been one of the best V-Stars. You know, we're talking about Giratina V-Star being one of the best V-Stars. Arceus has been putting in a ton of work.
Honestly, Arceus V-Star feels like a Ditto sometimes. It just adapts so well to the metagame. It can pair with anything. It's very versatile. It's very flexible. Any good enough attacker you can pair with and adapt to the metagame, as you mentioned. So we've seen it paired with pretty much every card, right? I guess we haven't seen Arceus Guardi or Arceus Lugia, but other than those, we've pretty much seen Arceus with everything.
It even found its way into some Chien-Pao Baxcalibur decks just for its V-Star ability, just trying to search for some cards.
Right, so it might have been that we started a potential game with 59 cards, so...
Oh no.
Yeah, maybe a prize left over at the prizes before shuffling and setting up. The match will resume shortly as soon as we have confirmation on what happened and how we are going to move from that.
Again, these things happen. It's live.
Live, yeah, it's definitely live. There's a lot of things that happen that are out of our control, and so we'll get this match resumed as soon as we can.
Listen, we're just giving everyone else in the tournament a little time to breathe.
Indeed, indeed. A little breather, get some pau de queijo, get some coxinhas.
Yeah, keep them rolling, keep them rolling.
Yeah.
What else do I need to get after the
All right,
broadcast?
pau de queijo, coxinhas. You need to have some brigadeiros, which you
I
are
love
a
brigadeiros.
special at. What else? Maracuya drink as well.
Guarana.
Yeah, there you go. All the food here is fantastic. A picanha for lunch. I love picanha.
You're getting me hungry, Pablo. I was hungry for Pokemon TCG action, but now I'm just hungry.
Would you say you're feeling more Pico-like?
Say it again.
Are you gonna be like a more Pico on me?
Oh no, I'll contain myself. It'll be fine.
Right.
It'll be fine.
It'll be the nice more Pico. We're seeing the crowds go loud. I imagine that's where Pokemon go, perhaps.
Yeah, I'm guessing with the green. You know.
Yeah.
We at least have our color coordination pretty down pat here.
The green for Pokemon Go, red for Pokemon VG, and blue for Pokemon TCG. We are at the center stage, I will say.
Yeah. Because, you know, we're the best.
We are, yeah. I wanted to be more subtle with the rock I threw into the other games. However, I do believe TCG it's my favorite. It's my personal favorite.
Oh, yeah. If you had to pick between VGC and Pokemon Go, if you weren't competitive TCG, which would you try to stick your toe into?
I mean, I started with the Pokemon video game, Pokemon Blue, 27 years ago, so I'd have to go with the Pokemon video game.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah, I am old. I feel like that's a recurring theme with you and I.
We're just old.
I am, or how old we are, yeah. Pokemon Blue, good memories.
I started with Pokemon Red myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we can't be friends anymore, I'm sorry.
No. All right, I'll leave.
Yeah, I always, all the water starters, they were always my favorite.
I did always pick all the water starters for a
Why
while.
did you buy Pokemon Red? Was it fired?
I didn't buy it. I was like
That's fair.
6 years old or something.
That's fair, that's fair. Yeah, Squirtle's the best. If anyone asks, Squirtle's the best.
I don't know. Squirtle's pretty good, but there's been some great starters throughout the entirety of Pokemon's catalog.
I agree. There's also been some questionable ones.
Oh,
But what's your
throwing
favorite?
shade already here.
What's your favorite water type starter?
Favorite water type starter?
Yeah, water type.
I love Froakie.
I also love
Yeah.
Froakie.
Greninja, such a cool design.
Agreed. I'm personally, my favorite, I think, is Totodile.
Okay.
Yeah. There's something about that blue crocodile that always gets to me.
At least for me personally, with the newest generation of starters, I'm a Fuecoco guy.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
And we saw Fuecoco hats. I want a Fuecoco hat. We saw people in the crowd with a Fuecoco hat. I want one. I agree. Fuecoco is definitely the best starter in Scarlet and Violet. By far. By far.
Again, this is a pretty big ruling here, so we're going to have to just bear with us as the judges make their decision and players do their appeals and all the stuff that goes along with this great card game.
Indeed, there are many things, because we're doing all physically, right? There are many things that sometimes we overlook, sometimes we all make mistakes, and things can happen. So, especially at this highest level of competition, right? There could be many things going on players' minds, and all the calculations you're doing, all the thinking you're doing in order to make sure that you're going through and winning this game. Sometimes things get overlooked, sometimes things happen in order to have these sort of situations. I've definitely had my fair share of long judge rulings and calls.
Oh yeah, I've been a part of a few of them. It's never what you want to see.
I'm sure both players are also very eager to continue with the game, especially after that quick game one by Jesper, and then this very close game two that we had, very back and forth, and it really stinks sometimes being that one energy away and then drawing 3 cards where you still have a bunch of outs, right? Crash Gates, Supporters, right? The raw energies that Jesper still had in the deck and still was not able to find.
Now, for this tournament, how do you think each of their decks are kind of positioned? Do you like the matchups as well? Like, so for me personally, I think Gardevoir with the new Screamtail and the Luxurious Cape is probably one of the best decks, or if not the best deck, one of the most represented this weekend.
Yeah, most likely. I think Screamtail definitely added a new dimension to Gardevoir, having that very powerful bench threat. Cresselia was already a powerful bench threat, but it was very limited in the amount of damage that it could deal, right? You could pick off those key low HP basic Pokemon, but we do seem to be transitioning to a more high HP basic Pokemon EX sort of metagame, and that's where Screamtail just shines. It can do so much damage. You do need the Luxurious Cape to be able to get that extra oomph in terms of damage output. However, it's definitely worth it, yeah, because finishing off any Pokemon wherever it is, or before, you never worried about benching Manaphy against Gardevoir. Or maybe you did a little bit if they were running Mew EX, but it was not in every single Gardevoir deck. But now with Screamtail, you're up against Gardevoir. By turn 2 or 3, you definitely need to be eyeing up that Manaphy on your bench. Otherwise, Screamtail can definitely wreck whatever you're planning.
Yeah, up to, what, 360 damage with that Luxurious Cape, potentially to take a knockout on literally anything in the format.
Yeah, nothing stands that hit, absolutely nothing. And the Luxurious Cape also helps your Shining Arcana Gardevoir as well, being able to no longer be limited by the 140 HP, being able to attach more than 6 energies with Gardevoir EX's Psychic Embrace, and being able to hit those 300, 330. Sometimes, is there anything that requires 260 damage? Blastoise EX?
Yeah, that's what maybe, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe not that much, but you have the option, right?
Yeah.
And we don't know what the future holds. Therefore, we might be seeing some big, tanky Pokemon that features more than 330 HP.
Well, we know at least what it holds a little bit, like Iron Valiant is from the future, Iron Hands from the future.
I mean the future. Yeah, so the future meaning whatever we get in our next main set, which I believe might be in April, might be in February. I'm not so sure. We do have Paldean Fates, that was announced this week, and we're gonna get a lot of shiny cool Pokemon.
Yeah, all of those cards that have been expanded upon, and just shiny Pokemon in general. You really love to see more crossover between the video game and the card game and Pokemon Go. I know it's always a treat to run into one in the wild.
It is definitely. And I mean, we've talked about probabilities of finding a shiny Pokemon compared to starting Battle VIP Pass. And I feel like I always think about shiny Pokemon when I prize like 3 of my Curlias. I'm like, oh my gosh. This is actually worse odds than finding a shiny Pokemon. I might be wrong though. I think that's like 1 in 1,000, and shiny Pokemon is 1 in 8,000, something along those lines.
Yeah, you're probably wrong.
Depends on if you have the shiny charm. There's just so many factors there. Yeah, so don't say I'm wrong if you don't know the exact odds.
Never tell me the odds. It is interesting to see just kind of the decks that these players have chosen to play for this event. You either can go one of 2 routes. Go something more consistent and familiar, and I think that's what Jesper kind of chose with this Lost Zone Giratina. Yep. Or you just embrace the new. New is always better, right?
New is always better. That's one of the golden rules of some people. And yeah, I do feel like we do tend to see a trend of, in order for the new cards to be very appealing, right, and competitive, they need to be better than what already exists. So it is a trend that we see that the newer cards continually do better and better than the older ones, as they do get power crept a little bit, right? We see slightly higher HPs, slightly stronger attacks, slightly more efficient attacks, right? You could compare Goldengo to Chen Pao Baxcalibur, right? It's that combination into a single attack essentially in a stage 1. Not the exact same, but similar enough to where Goldengo being released 2 sets after Chen Pao and Baxcalibur is that little bit of, perhaps not super power creep, but definitely different enough and powerful enough to be making its mark. And we could see Goldengo make its mark at LAIC this weekend.
Well, you also have to take into account that a lot of the cards are very similar in both decks, Chen Pao and Goldengo. Yeah. You're playing the full count of superior energy retrievals, maybe energy retrieval as well. Both decks are now playing Earthen Vessel to its maximum potential, and you just have to trade off Baxcalibur Rare Candy for multiple Goldengo in play.
Yeah, and then you have the reliance on Radiant Greninja's concealed cards to fill up your hand. You also have the Pokestop engine, so you're focusing a lot on item cards, as you mentioned. So definitely a lot of similarities, even playing water energy in both decks.
Yeah. I guess. It looks like the players have been told, and it does look like
we're going to have a match resolution.
Yeah, game loss for Victor there. Presented 59 cards in the game prior, I believe. And because of that, an illegal deck. And unfortunate to have things end that way, but your winner for round 1, Jesper Eriken, with Lost Zone Giratina V-Star.
Jesper must be feeling a little relief, right? Game 1 very nicely. Then that game 2 was so close, yet couldn't close it out. So winning this one definitely should feel good for him.
Of course, you can only feel so good with the way the result was
Of
achieved.
course. You're
but
happy about the result. You're not happy with the way it played out. But now both players will be able to get a little bit of a breather after that long judge call and hopefully get their minds refreshed for round 2.
a little bit of that anticlimactic ending there for our round 1 here in Sao Paulo, Brazil. But we still got to see one game of action.
Yeah, we did. One game and a turn.
And a turn.
Right? Yeah, that Cramorant turn 1 KO was flawlessly executed, right? Despite the extra card that Jesper drew off that Colress, and then Scissor